Well, it's World TB Day, so let's speak now to Professor Willem Hanekom. He's the director of the African Health Research Institute, a leading global expert on TB. He was previously head of the TB vaccine group at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. AHRI is one of South Africa's largest independent research institutes. It focuses on HIV, TB and, of course, other diseases. Professor Hanekom is also part of the COVID-19 Research Consortium. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. You know, we have multiple COVID vaccines that have been developed in less than a year versus, I think, one TB vaccine, the BCG vaccine, which I think was developed, 100 years ago. I'm just wondering why. Is TB a particularly tricky disease to develop a vaccine for, or does it signal a lack of interest and a lack of care and a lack of money put towards TB research?
Sally, thank you very much for having me. I think it's a bit of all of those. I think TB is a very difficult disease. We understand preciously little about the host response, about how our immune systems respond to the bacterium. And we need to understand that to be able to develop a vaccine to protect us against the bacterium. But I think it's also that TB is really a disease of the socioeconomically dispossessed. There's a lot of stigma associated with it. It's not as attractive to fund. So the amounts of funding that we get for TB research are pittance compared to what has been given, for example, in COVID research. So in COVID, I think more than $20 trillion has been spent on research and care already. Whereas in TB, less than $1 billion are spent every year in research. So that may be one of the reasons. However, there are some vaccines that are on the way for tuberculosis. There's one vaccine that in studies that's shown 50% efficacy in preventing TB disease. And that needs to be confirmed in much larger studies. So there may be a new vaccine that's on its way.
How long do you think that vaccine will still take? We constantly told that the COVID vaccines, it's highly unusual for these vaccines to have been developed so quickly. How much longer do you think we'll wait for a TB vaccine, a new one?
I think it's going to take at least, if this vaccine that I'm talking about does turn out to be does work and protect against tuberculosis, it will probably take another 5 or 10 years before it gets to the pharmacists. So unfortunately, our TB vaccine development has been much slower than than COVID vaccine development, and it can be accelerated by putting more money into this.
All right, so if even just $1 trillion was given towards moving quicker on this new TB vaccine, do you think it could come within the next few years?
I do think so. I do think so. I think it's also important that to control TB, it's not just about a vaccine. When we have to look at the comprehensive picture, we have to look at diagnostics to pick up TB very early. We now are learning that there may be people who are walking around with tuberculosis in them, but we do not know about this. And we need to be able to identify those people much earlier than, in fact, before they become sick. So we need new diagnostics too. And also, TB treatment takes 6 months. That's an extraordinarily long time. And why can't we have a TB treatment that only takes a month or even 2 weeks, like an ordinary course of antibiotics? So there's other areas in which we actually need research into also.
Do you think that the emphasis on COVID-19 is because it was new, because we weren't too sure what it would do to the world, and as yet, we do not have a treatment for it? Yes, there are therapies, there are treatments available, but there isn't a surefire cure, as there is with TB. My understanding of the TB treatment plan is that if you take it, if you stick to it for those 6 months, you will be better at the end?
Correct. We know that 85% of all TB strains that are circulating can be treated very easily. And if you take your treatment, you will be cured. There's some TB strains that are resistant to the first-line drugs, but even them can be cured if you take your antibiotics. The cure rates are slightly lower, but they can be cured. So absolutely, I think one of the most important things is and that's why I'm saying it's a comprehensive effort that's needed. To keep someone on treatment for 6 months is a very difficult undertaking, and we need all the support that we can get for these people to be able to stay on treatment.
Yeah, my understanding is that the deaths from TB are roughly similar here in South Africa to the deaths that we have seen from COVID-19. And of course, then that raises the question of why we're not putting more money. Why is the world not putting more money to quicker TB treatments and to finally getting an updated TB vaccine? Thank you so much for chatting to us this evening, Professor Willem Hanekom. He is the director of the African Health Research Institute, also part of the COVID-19 Research Consortium.